Hi, everyone. We have a treat today. I am interviewing the Horacle, Amy Lorbati, and we're talking about Heaux Marketing, the definitive answer to bro marketing. So Amy is a women's empowerment and leadership coach. She teaches badasses how to find power switches they never even knew existed. So welcome, Amy.
I am so excited to be on this podcast because it's
Woo!
all about everything I love. Woohoo!
Is there anything I'd love to hear your actual description of what you do, because that was like such a short little intro.
Well, I mean, one of the things that I like to say is I'm here to wake up the witches, empower the
Mm.
bitches, and free the whores.
Yeah.
It is next level women's empowerment. And I am obsessed with creating a fempire based on the three worst things that they call us. And so I really work with women to wake them up to levels of power they didn't even know existed. I was in corporate America for about 25 years, worked my way up from receptionist all the way to senior vice president in Hollywood, right?
Wow.
One of the broiest male dominated, the Me Too movement started there basically, businesses. And I thought I was a power bitch, right? And until I started working with the reclamation of these archetypes of witch and bitch and whore, I didn't even know that I could even go so much deeper with regard to my ability to be visible and powerful in this world. So I'm obsessed with working with women to help them see that their power has been hidden under the places they have been most afraid to look for it.
So good. And so your brand is Witch Bitch Whore. So you guys can all find Amy on Instagram as Witch Bitch Whore. How did this even start?
Okay, like any good story, I was working in a coven. So I was asked by a really good friend of mine named Brianna Lynn. She's Reverend Rev Brianna Lynn on Facebook, what am I saying, Instagram, and also Facebook. And she was putting together this collective of coaches that she was calling the Coaching Coven. And she asked me to join, and I was like, I'm down to do anything this woman is doing because she is so badass. And I get there, and it's me and I think 5 or 6 other women who have been, let's call it this, in the spiritual industry forever. And I had just left corporate. And in our first meeting, she says, I don't care what you call yourselves, but you have to claim the word witch. And I was like, oh no, I am not doing that because I might, my fallback plan was to go back to Hollywood. And if I'm calling myself a witch on the internet, I figured no one would ever hire me again. The other women were like, totally fine, right? Because they basically had been in this world forever. I just dropped into, the spiritual, I call it the spiritual industry. And it was this really like challenging experience that I went through to even be able to write the word witch next to my name. The rest of them were all like trying to coach me through it and help me. And I was having like nightmares of being, you know, taken and killed and, people coming and hunting me down, like, kind of all of the collective consciousness, I think, of the witch, let's call it, the witch injury that I think almost every woman on earth experiences from a collective consciousness standpoint. So when I finally broke through that, we were writing funny hashtags, as part of what we were doing. One of the other women and I finally like announced in our group chat, I'm doing it, I'm claiming witch. And she goes, hashtag witch, bitch, whore. I'm going to make them all holy again. And then when I read her hashtag, it was like, I don't know if you work with divine guidance, but I do. It was like, all of a sudden, this booming voice in my head goes, you have to reclaim witch and bitch and whore all at the same time. And I was like, fuck you. Like, no. No. Like, I didn't even know what that meant at the time. I bought witchbitchwhore.com the next day. It was surprisingly available. No one had snapped that website up. That URL was still there. And basically what I've been on is, it started as my own personal journey of, I guess, self-discovery, what it meant as a woman who was going to stand in those three archetypes at once. Who is that?
Mm-hmm.
How would a woman show up if she's owning witch and bitch and whore? And, bitch I like to say I was born a baby bitch. I was one of those girls that, would have notes sent home that I was too bossy and stuff like that. And so bitch was easy. I was a professional bitch in Hollywood, which terrified me. Whore, I was raised Catholic, and you're either like the virgin or the whore, and I quickly fell in with the whores. So that was, like each of them is a different reclamation. But that's how I got started. That's how Witch Bitch Whore started, was in this group being asked to reclaim witch, and I freaked out. And then, the voice of divine source told me that I was reclaiming witch and bitch and whore all at once.
Yeah.
And now I'm talking to you about it.
So good. And I'm guessing that a lot of your work is reclaiming the power behind all of those archetypes, right?
Yeah. And this is how I work with the powers. And the thing about my work is I really invite every woman to reclaim it in the way that is authentic for her. You see so much in our world where people are told how you're supposed to do something. I say, fuck that shit, right? Because there are as many witches in this world as there are women.
Yeah.
So it's really about creating your own individual expression of the archetype. So for me, witch is really spiritual power, your energetic power. It's working with, kind of the concept of magnetism and, drawing towards you that which you desire. It's working with conscious creation. My magic is conscious creation. And then bitch, the way I really look at it, bitch is the backbone of the whole operation. If your bitch is powerful and strong, to me, it's really kind of like the concept of masculine and feminine energy, only I work with fierce female, right? More so than feminine. So if your bitch is empowered, it really is in a little bit of a way the way people look at masculine energy. This is the one that sets your boundaries. This is the one that sort of embodies here on earth. This is the one who, it's like working with your mental power, working with your emotional power, because as a woman, to be visible, you often are scared shitless to put yourself out into the arena. So you have to have the emotional fortitude to deal with trolls or family members or friends or anybody going, I don't like what you're doing. And, the mental power to, just be like, that's awesome. This is what I'm doing because I believe in it. If you can stand in your truth when nobody else is standing with you, that's power. And so that's bitch. And then whore is actually a pretty broad range, I found, working with women, because women have different levels of let's call it sexual or sensual repression. And it could literally be somebody working to get to a place of authentic sexual expression, whatever that looks like for her. It could literally just being able to be in your body and feel good and feel pleasure, because even the word pleasure, so often, at least for me, the way I was raised Catholic, pleasure is a dirty word.
Yeah.
And getting to the place where I allow myself to feel good and trust that it's okay to be in pleasure. And it could be your sexual expression, right? It's your sexual power. It's your power of desire, right? Because a turned on bitch is a powerful bitch, right? And so many women, if you really even think about it as a light switch, we have been turned down, like we're dimmers and we're almost off. And so it's really working with the nervous system to start bringing that dimmer switch on a little by little, because sometimes you don't want to shock your system, so that you're able to more be in a state of pleasure, working with desire, sensual, sexual. It's also a form of magnetics. I say witch and whore are almost like two sides of the same coin. And, I think I said this already, but I'll say it again because it's important. When bitch is strong, witch and whore get to dance around them. Right?
That's so good. Well, a thought that I've been playing with that I haven't really brought home for myself is the difference between magnetism and seduction. And I was wondering if you're going to bring that up with the whore archetype, with seduction, because when I'm feeling them both in my body, they feel very similar. But for some reason, I'm like, I know there's a difference here. I know there's something different between magnetism and seduction. This was unplanned. I'm curious if you have any thoughts on it.
Oh, absolutely. Like, and that's why I say they're two sides of the same coin,
Mm-hmm.
right? So magnetism, I would say this is, and like you said, they feel very similar. I'd say if I were to identify it with the archetype, I would identify it more closely with witch.
Mm-hmm.
Seduction is more whore, right? So with the concept of Heaux marketing, you know, Heaux, which is the way I like to spell it, the fancy version. I joke that it's the French, you know, when people are like, "Oh, I've never heard that," you know, because usually it's HOE. And I like to say it's the French way to spell hoe, and it's probably not even anything in French, but I'm deciding whatever, it sounds French. So
I actually Googled it before we got on, and I was like, I don't actually know if this is a real word. It's like an urban dictionary.
it is borrowed from the Urban Dictionary. I first heard it from I first heard it from a woman that's in a group with me, a Black woman. It's the first time I ever saw it spelled that way. So I do believe it comes from you know, African American vernacular, right? So I think it's AAVE. It's how you say it correctly. So it is a way to spell it that's differently, right? So this is working with seduction.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, how do I seduce somebody to come to me? I think magnetics is more about being authentic,
Mm-hmm.
because the more that I am able to be in my true, I guess the closest I am to be who I authentically and truly am, the more I can uncover the fears or you know, the any of the things that are holding me back from being able to authentically express myself. The more I'm able to do that, the more people are drawn to me,
Mm-hmm.
right? So authenticity is magnetic. And then seduction is, it's, I think it's more of a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's more of you know, I make you want to know more about me, I'm calling you to me. It is different than magnetism, a little bit, right? And seduction, it's like the art of seduction, right? It's very much cortisone like. And Mama Gina, if you've ever heard of her, she wrote the book Pussy, which is an epic book. You know, she really learned a lot from courtesans. Yeah. And so it's and again, these are energies that women, I believe, are naturally born with. They just get repressed the fuck out of us because of these words. And so just being able to allow yourself to be seductive, right? And a lot of the work that I do is seduction of other women. I'm not here trying to seduce men. I mean, I am and I'm not, right? Like I
in a different way, in a
let's be
different
honest.
context.
Yeah, it's a different way, right? So I'm, you know, what I'm doing is also, the work I do is really polarizing. You either like me almost when you first see me, or you hate me, right? And you know, because I speak with a particular, I'm going for, what would Goddess Zilla be like? Like, how would the biggest possible, most outrageous woman, you know, speak? Um, and so not everybody gets me. You know, as my stepmother told me when I first explained this to my dad and her, she said, "It's not my cup of tea, Amy. Like, this is not my cup of tea." Right? And I was like, "No, it's not. I totally get it." She said, "It's for somebody. It's not for me." And I'm like, "Uh-huh. It is." And so I am not everybody's cup of tea. And I think that that's important for every single person listening to this to really understand. You are not everybody's cup of tea.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to like you. And we have been trained with the good girl programming that
Mm-hmm.
everybody has to like us. So we put ourselves into these boxes and we're not authentic because we're trying to make everyone like us.
Yeah.
And that's never going to work. Not everyone will like you.
So I'm because we're kind of talking about almost channeling an archetype in some ways with this goddess Zilla version. So would you say that the Horacle, which I've seen you post a few different places as like, I am the Horacle, is that an alter ego that you're stepping into, or something that you're channeling, or is that just something you're naming yourself?
Okay, so I work with an energy basically that I call the Great Witch Bitch Whore, right? Like,
Uh-huh.
and it may be one energy or it may be three, right? kind of like Lilith Kali and, Shakti, kind of Kundalini energy, right? And, so I do channel a lot of my content is channeled. And that name, is not original to me. I think there's some heavy metal band from Sweden that actually has an album called The Horacle or something like that from the 70s. But I didn't know that existed. It just sort of came to me, and
You're gonna have to post some album art.
Yeah, I should find that. It kind of came to me, and I like to work a lot with humor, because I'm talking about, very triggering, very potentially polarizing topics. And so I like to bring humor into it. So I started calling myself the Horacle, because I do work with this energy, and a lot of this content is channeled through me. So I'm literally horacling, for this energy. And it is a little bit like some of the work that I do with women is help them create a personal archetype for themselves. Like, who are they, right? And finding the most empowered aspect of themselves and basically creating it. A really great example of this is Beyonce, and her alter ego is Sasha Fierce. And, if you look at Beyonce back in the Destiny's Child days and Beyonce now, it's like Beyonce and Sasha Fierce have basically almost, I think, become the same person, right? Like the two of them have fused. And I think it's less that it's somebody who you were not, it's who you always had the possibility of being. It's that you've chosen to cultivate this.
Yeah.
So it's a little of both, right? Like, it's me. And I've been having fun going back into like old photos, and I've been pulling some of them out and using them in some of my Instagram posts. And if I look back at myself 15, 20 years ago, I'm still making some of the faces and doing some of the things that I do now, that are very Kali-esque, my tongue's out in a lot of photos. And, my boyfriend hates it. He's like, God, why do you have to make, I go, I've been making this face for like 20 years, honey. So women with their tongues out is not okay, right? So I like to do things that are not okay. I curse a lot because it's not okay, right? That's not ladylike. And so what in the hell is ladylike? Who would you be if you hadn't been trained by the patriarchy to be a certain way? It's like, who would you be if you had been born free, right? So I think that it is kind of an alter ego, and it's also me if I'm just being me, and I don't really like, if a tree falls in the woods and nobody hears it, did the tree fall? It's like, if nobody was going to judge me on who I am, who would I be?
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, it's a little alter ego, it's a little me, and I like to think that we're becoming one and the same.
Well, it's probably also for a lot of women who have a hard time really embodying these more bold, confident parts of themselves. Seeing it as an alter ego or seeing it as separate from themselves could be easier for them to step into than actually claiming from the beginning that this is me.
Yeah, 100%. It's like, sometimes it's like trying on, I kind of equate it to trying on different outfits, right? You're trying on different clothes, and how does this fit? How does it feel? What's it like to walk around wearing this particular outfit all day today? So you can lean into different ways of expressing, because we have a lot of examples of what sexy is, for a woman, what powerful is. And in the world we live in, the way that female power has been looked at has often been something that has an expiration date on it. Your beauty expires, you age out, and then you're no longer as relevant as you were when you're younger in many ways. And so it's also, I'm 52 years old, and so it's also like I'm being a demonstrator. I'm basically in the crone category, and you don't have to look any certain way when you get older. You can be and express however. I'm still beautiful, I'm still sexy, I'm still relevant. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
that I'm no longer, in the 18 to 34 demographic category, to use bro marketing. You know?
Wait, so speaking of bro marketing, I something I definitely want to cover today is what is bro marketing? Because not everyone has heard that term. And then what is home marketing? Why is it the answer to bro marketing?
Okay, so I really have heard bro marketing most from my coach, who's a woman named Julia Wells, and she is building a pussy-based business empire.
Mhm.
And so the term bro marketing is, if you really think about more of the male corporate linear way of looking at things, that everything is complicated, that you have to have sales funnels and email lists, and you have to have your niche really defined. You have to have, what it's a 5-point thing you're taking everybody through. It's very structured and very complicated. And you're not, the story is you cannot be successful unless you have an email list, unless you have a sales funnel, like a process. And for people who don't know what a sales funnel is, it's a process that you basically are taking people down kind of a spiral funnel into it's like a trust funnel. Like,
Yeah.
so if you're emailing, like cold emailing somebody, that you're basically building a relationship over email. And so for me, hoe marketing is really pussy based, is the way some people use the term, but I for me it's really intuition or channels.
Mm-hmm.
And so I write what I write, and I'll put like a call to action on it, and depending on how I'm feeling, I may say one thing or a different thing or whatever. There's no strategy or structure other than my strategy was, when I sold out my one-to-one coaching practice, was my strategy is I'm gonna sell out, and I'm just gonna go until I do it. And I did all of it through just social media posts. I don't have an email list. I barely, I think, had 600 followers on Instagram. And, because everyone thinks you have to, another bro marketing thing is these stupid bots that are out there following and unfollowing people, and writing these dumb messages in your DMs about, you should go follow this person. I'm like, bitch, she should come follow me. I don't even know who she is. Bro marketing is rolling into your DMs and just giving you some shit you didn't even want. That's bro marketing. Hoe marketing is seducing.
Mm-hmm. I think it's also, in my mind, it includes vanity metrics. So top line revenue, and not actually talking about, there's so many 7-8 figure businesses talking about how they're 7 and 8 figure businesses where they have 0% profit. They're not profiting at all. And then also the amount of followers you have, the size of your email list, when go look at the conversion rates. They're not converting anyone. So yeah.
Yeah, it's all of the metrics and all of, and look, they're relevant in certain ways. I mean, if you look at, if I were to look at the metrics, I did 50 sales calls,
Mm-hmm.
to sell out my coaching, and that's an incredible amount of sales calls. It's
Yeah.
not that easy. I didn't even
Lots of
know.
practice.
I didn't even know enough to know that was actually really hard to do, right? I just was doing it, right? I was just I'm going. And so I did. I became really practiced at doing these calls because I'd been on so many of them. And so if you look at my conversion rate,
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who's a sales coach or a sales expert would probably say that my conversion rate sucked. I don't actually give a shit,
Yeah.
right? Because that was market research for me. That was making relationships. That was having conversations with 50 different women.
Mm-hmm.
And it was sort of like playing, what is that thing, chat roulette. Some of them, I didn't even know who they were, right? They signed up, and I'd get on the call, and I'm like, I don't even know who I'm talking to right now. I hope it's a woman. And, and then I kind of figure out, what am I doing next based on, what happened. And, I really view life as a contact sport. It's experiential, right? You have to get out there and do the thing. And so, the numbers, the metrics, the I guess, what is the authentic real story, and what is it benefiting you, and how is it working for you? To me is more of what Heaux Marketing is, because people could look at my stuff and say, you need more followers, you need this, you need that, you need all of these things. And maybe,
Yeah.
as I grow bigger, maybe, but I'm doing it the way it works for me, right? And that's, I think, also what I would consider Heaux Marketing to be, is what works for you. What is, like, some people are moms, and have, I have cats, but they have like a different structure where they can only do certain things during a certain time period, right? Especially now during the beautiful times of coronavirus, where your kids are homeschooling in your house and you're trying to run your business or launch your business. So, allowing for a baby to be on a sales call with you if you need it to be on a sales call with you, right? And having that be completely acceptable, because in the bro marketing world, you cannot have a baby anywhere near anything that you are doing.
Yeah. And you can't have a uterus or womb either. So
No, you're not allowed to have any of those things. So it's allowing women to really, I think, be female, be women, be in the experience that is authentic to them. And sometimes you have a toddler that wanders into your sales call. I had plenty of times where people were like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, whatever, bring them on the call. I don't care. It's like, it's real life.
Yeah. Okay. So
And the shaming.
I want to go back before we go down this one, because I know people are going to ask, how the fuck did she get 50 sales calls? So let's hear you how you got, and I hope, I'm assuming it's going to be very Heaux Marketing-esque.
Yeah, I just wrote, and I wouldn't even say I did a post a day, because like technically I should be doing a post a day, but sometimes I think it's probably more like 4 to 5 posts a week is what I can get out there. And I just would post and invited people to get on calls. And I really started playing with what voice am I using? Like, I would demand that people would get on sales calls with me in some of my posts. I would say things like, because I call myself the Horacle, I would say, I'm gifting consultations with the Horacle. It'll change, women have, breakthroughs on calls with me all the time. One call with me could change your life, which is true. And so I would say things like that. I would say things that probably a lot of people would never say, and so I kept getting, in some ways, and I call it outrageous. Some people might not think I'm outrageous at all, right? But to me, it was outrageous, and I remember one woman got on a call with me, and one of my questions I always ask is, what made you say yes to this? And she goes, you told me I had to get on a call with you. And I was like, oh.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I basically detached myself from, the number of likes or interaction that I was actually getting on the post, because my sales posts, would sometimes get like, I always love all my own posts, always. I am the first one to like or love every post that I post. And, I wasn't looking at, again, the metric of how many likes I was getting,
A vanity
how
metric.
many comments. I was looking at, are people booking sales calls?
Yeah.
That's the only metric that mattered. So yeah, it was really just me going out there. I call it herding hoes, just, like sometimes I asked, sometimes I seduced, sometimes I like demanded, that people get on a call with me, and it worked, and by the time I'd done 50, I was like, okay, I think I'm good. I think I'm good. I think I'm good. Yeah. So it was really, I think, playing with the voice that I'm speaking to women with, and not being afraid. One of the things I say is fucked up is good enough, not spending hours crafting a post, not, being worried that it was perfect, and then trying different, just, being willing to explore and experiment and try different ways. And if it's like, if it didn't work this day, let me try it this way. And not attaching my value to whether or not people were interacting with the posts, because social media has cleverly created itself to be an addiction.
Yeah.
And, you know, kind of the external affirmation that most of us crave. And so that's where the spiritual practice, you know, business as a spiritual practice really came in for me, is detaching my value, my worth from the post.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want you to like all, I want everyone to love all my posts, right? But if they don't, it's okay. I work with my mindset to remind myself that I'm a fucking badass. I am a legendary hoe. I am the best at what I do. You know, there is no one like me. I have no competition, right? These are the things that I tell myself. And so that's, I think, how I was able to do that.
So you already jumped into this topic, but I would love to hear what spiritual, magical mindset, whatever sort of practices fuel your business, and then how does your business then fuel that soul evolution for you?
There's so much here. I work with divine guidance, and I really listen to what I'm being told. And I do things that people think are absolutely batshit crazy, right? You know, I sold my house in Hollywood and I moved to a mountain. My friends joke that I live on Witch Mountain. And I, you know, I moved to a mountain because I needed to free up some capital for me to be able to build this business. And I'm very fortunate that I had that opportunity, but I had to sell my house. I had to leave Hollywood. I was like basically unemployed for 2 years. You know, I was like, kept hearing this voice in my head saying, you have to sell your house. You have to sell your house. You're moving to this mountain. And I was like, you know, I'm always like, please shut up, right? And it won't stop. When I hear a drumbeat that won't stop, then I know that I'm supposed to follow it. So a lot of, you know, creating my business, creating everything that I'm doing has been following divine guidance. And, you know, the way divine guidance appears to me is it's more like thoughts, you know, and words that appear in my head in a very like, it's almost like a booming kind of way. It's like different than my regular thoughts. It's just sort of like a commandment, like thou shalt do whatever. And I'm like, oh God, this again. So I really work with that. I do a lot of mindset work, you know, working with fears, doing fear inventories. And then I call this flipping a bitch. This originally comes from a woman named Karen Elliott, who wrote Existential Kink, and then also my coach Julia talks about it. But flipping the bitch is my spin on it, right? So it's really writing out what are your fears, and then I flip the bitch, because your fear is a bitch, you know, because your mind is like always like telling you lies, and then I turn it into what is the thing that I need to hear now. What would empower me, instead of nobody wants to work with me, no one will get on a call with me, everybody thinks that I suck, you know, whatever. I'm making up stuff, even though this is what my mind tells me. You know, then it would be like, you know, bitches are banging on my door, like to get into my coaching. You know, women get so much results from working with me. You know, I have a wait list a mile long, like whatever it is that I need to believe, then I'll tell myself, right? So it's like reverse brainwashing yourself. You've been brainwashing yourself to believe that you are unworthy, less than whatever the heck it is. This is basically reverse brainwashing yourself into believing that you're badass as fuck and you can create whatever the hell you want, right?
Yeah.
Or at least that's how I work with it, right? And trusting that it's all working, that everything is in alignment, that everything in my life has prepared me for this moment right now, you know? And if I look back at my life, everything has been preparing me. I did work in the corporate world, and I was in marketing and promotions and all of that. So, you know, I'm able to take some of that stuff and bring it into this world. A man that I used to work with reached out to me, and he sent me a message. He goes, oh my God, he goes, I am like dying over what you're doing right now. And he goes, I can't believe you just used FOMO in a post, you know, fear of missing out, which is a marketing term, right? Where I was like, I had like one spot left. Get on my calendar, right? You know, and so that in the marketing world is called FOMO marketing. It's fear of
Uh-huh.
missing out.
Uh-huh.
And you know, I did have one spot left, and I just wanted everyone to know that I had only one spot left. And so it's, you know, for me, it's divine guidance, working with my mindset, and, you know, trusting that everything is in alignment, even when sometimes it feels like everything is off the rails and I'm about to hit a wall, you know, just going, everything I do makes me money. I don't know how yet, but it will.
Love that. That's a great affirmation right there, or thought to try on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's especially helpful when literally everything looks like shit and I'm crying on the ground, right? Because there's days, I think, you know, where I feel like a failure and I'm crying and, you know, something isn't working right and I just don't have the motivation or the willingness, you know, or the ability to do something. And that's part of Heaux marketing, which is that women are cyclical creatures. And sometimes, you know, we're just not in the mindset, the space to do the thing. And it's being able to like stop, and look at what's happening and go, do I just need a day to
Yeah.
just cry and eat ice cream and watch movies or whatever? Or is this like my mind telling me that there's something I need to be afraid of that's not actually real, right? So it's getting to the place, I guess for me, the spiritual practice is getting to the place of being able to see, when do I need to just stop and take care of myself? And when do I need to work with my mindset and go, no, bitch, get back out there. Like everything's fine.
Mm.
And so, you know, sometimes, you know, we need self-care. Sometimes we just need like a pep talk to get back out, right? So it's really being cyclical.
No, I think that women who are starting their own businesses, I mean anyone who has starting their own business, running their own business, they're like champions, because it is so fucking hard because of our brains that we have to deal with every single day, and like learning how to sell for the first time. And speaking of whores, like you're selling yourself, like maybe not in a sexual way, maybe in a sexual way, but it's been such a huge journey and learning experience for myself. And I feel like every single like next level in business has been just like, okay, we're going through all this shit again, let's do it. So I really appreciate those, because that's real. Like, is it the mindset, or do you have to just give yourself rest and care and love?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, the other thing too, with working with the words witch, bitch, and whore, um, and standing on the internet and saying, I'm a witch, I'm a bitch, and I'm a legendary whore, right? Because I like to qualify whore. Like, if you're going to be a whore, you might as well be a legendary one, because, you know, once you're a whore, always a whore, kind of in the world that we live in. You know, it's like really challenging to get out of, you know, and a lot of the times this happens in high school, and it's a deep wound for women. And I also want to just say that I am absolutely 100% pro sex worker rights, you know, so I want to acknowledge the women who are actually in that space, you know, that are professional whores in that way. And, you know, you said we're all selling ourselves in some way, which we actually are all
Yep.
selling ourselves in some way. And, you know, just working with these words alone, owning them online is an incredible spiritual practice, right? You know, to say, hi, I'm the Horacle and my brand is Witch Bitch Whore. And if you don't think people didn't tell me this was a terrible idea, you know, it would be wrong, because basically a lot of people said, this is crazy. Why are you doing this? Couldn't you come up with a brand that's a little bit more palatable, that doesn't get censored, that's not going to get you shut up, right? But because of this, I've put myself out there in a way that, you know, I know what it's like for my nervous system to say I'm a whore. And, you know, any woman who, it's like, you can call your business anything you want.
Yeah.
I'm calling mine Witch Bitch Whore. So if you want to be, you know, Susie Shortcake Sex, you know, Sparkler of the Year, whatever, there are no rules.
Yeah.
Don't let people tell you there's rules. And I put myself into the situation so that I know what it's like so that the women who I work with, I have sex coaches that I work with. I have, people who are wanting to come out as intuitive healers that are afraid of what everyone's going to even think if they're an intuitive healer.
Yeah.
Which is not even saying which, but even just saying I'm intuitive is sometimes too much for people's families and communities to even hear, because it's 2020, but there still is such stigma against these things. So I know exactly what it feels like to step out there and call yourself something extremely controversial.
Mm-hmm.
I know what happens in your mind and your body because I'm doing it, right? So in a way, some of what I'm doing, and again, this is the divinely guided part, because I certainly didn't see this until I was in it, that this was absolutely necessary for me to do in order to hold space for women who are also stepping out and doing really big things in this world and are afraid to be visible because of, fear of being attacked, fear of their families rejecting them, fear of, like nasty trolls on the internet coming by to tell you you're stupid and you're a whore. And it's like, it's in my name. It's in my name.
Well, it's like you are doing shadow work through your business's identity.
Yeah, massive shadow work, right? And inviting other women into that possibility and that conversation.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Well, so you went from 0 to 50K with a 50K launch, which is absolutely amazing. So do you feel like you're still in this soup of being at that level of bringing in clients, or do you feel like you've kind of like graduated to the next level in your business?
The next thing I'm launching is a group program, which I'm calling the Witch Bitch Horror Experience. And so, I first wanted to really get the one-to-one coaching, set. And, my next step is launching a group program.
Mm-hmm.
I have a group called Witch Bitch Horror on Facebook, which, any woman who is hearing this is welcome.
She might let you
join.
in.
Is allowed to join. Yeah. Oh, I make bitches bang on my doors to get in. I don't just let you right in, right? Because it turns me on, and I do a special welcome for women when they come in. So I like to have a little batch of them, and so that's my next step, is that, right, which is opening up a whole other, can of worms with regard to fear and all of the things, so you never, I guess if you're going to continuously grow and expand, you're never actually going to get to a place where, it all stops.
Mm-hmm.
It's continuous spiritual growth work, because it's the next, what's the next thing?
Yeah.
And, so that I'm gearing up to launch that, and I'm putting together a wait list of, women who want to be the first to know about that. And, right now we're going to focus a month on witch, a month on bitch, and a month on horse. It's going to be a 3-month program. It's going to be under $1,000 because I want to make it accessible for as many women as possible. And I'm going to have a special bitch price, a special witch price, a bitch price, and a horror price. There's going to be different prices for each one. And, so you get to choose your price based on what you identify as.
Oh, wow. That's so fun. Oh my gosh. So what new, do you feel like you have new challenges with doing the group program? Like what's coming up for you with that?
I mean, everything, because, I have to be able to, it's like everything I've done so far has been what I've been able to do at the point that I was able to do it. I wanted to up my graphics for my posts, and I tried Canva, and that took too long. So basically all of my posts, at least so far, I create in either Facebook or Instagram stories, because I can put copy on there easily. And, someone was like, wait, that looks like an Instagram story. And I was like, yeah, because that's the only way I can make graphics, right? And rather than, teach myself how to do it or hire someone, I think I would like to get someone who can help me with graphics, but I had to just do what I could do to my ability to get those 50 sales calls. I wasn't going to wait until I could get somebody to do the stuff. So building a group program, now I have to figure out, where do I host the content? What are the modules going to be? What do I want people to get out of it? So it's just a different exercise that brings up all of the mindset stuff, which is mindset is so important, right? Working the fear work and flipping the bitches, because that's where, you know, you get stuck. And so I have to, you know, do I need to, like, which platform do I use? Like, you know, I'm not tech savvy at all, right? And so I have to learn all of the things or find somebody who I can hire who can do all of the things, right?
Didn't you just post that you are hiring 2 people, or you hired 2 people? Just like have them figure it out.
Yeah. Well, I hired a head bitch mistress in charge of everything. So that I literally just hired a head bitch mistress, and I have someone who's putting together a content library for me. And the next person I'm going to be hiring is someone to help me with social media, because I have so much content, so many written postings. I just need someone to help me with the graphics faster so I can get it out more, right? I have notebooks and notebooks and notebooks full of content because I just channel shit all day.
Oh, so easy. That's not gonna be a problem at all.
No, it's not. It's just getting my ass to actually do it is the problem, right? Because we are our own worst enemy all the time.
Your head bitch mistress can handle that hiring process. It's fine.
I totally have given her that task, and she's on it. She's so good. Like, she's so good. And she makes appearances in my Facebook group, and she gives people spankings if they don't follow the rules. I'm just having so much fun with it, right? I mean, I think that's another key is have fun. Yeah. Like, we are here for whatever limited period of time that we're here. And I would say that coronavirus really kicked my ass into gear because it's the first time I started posting dance videos. You know, I do dance videos. And so they're channel dances, PS. And I started posting those, and I'd never posted anything that personal before. But then I was like, you know what? Who gives a shit? Like, any one of us could be dead tomorrow. So we have to get out there and do whatever the hell we are called to do. Because the worst case scenario is we are, you know, going to have some troll tell us we look stupid or fat or old. Or I had, like, my first TikTok video I posted, I had somebody say, I posted one of my dance videos, I had some really unattractive man tell me that, put some clothes on, you old hag. And I was like, really? My first post on TikTok, I get, like, trolled. So that's the worst thing. The best thing is you're going to change the world. So get out there and do the thing that you know that you're here to do. And if you don't have the ability, the courage, the whatever to do it, hire somebody who can help you do it. That's what I did. You know, I hired the baddest ass coach that I could find. Her name is Julia motherfucking Wells. And, you know, I figured that was the person that could kick me into the next level, which she did. And she's also probably the only person I could have hired that would have said to me, go more, witch bitch whore, go more, right? Like, other people are like, oh, you should maybe tone it down. She's like, no.
Gotta make this more palatable, please.
Yeah, no, she was like, I think you need to actually go more. And I was like, really? More, no, more. Turn it up, right? So it's finding the people that are gonna, you know, either be in sisterhood, in partnership, in collaboration, in motivation, and whatever it is that you need, because building a business is scary as fuck. It is like, it is no joke. That's why your podcast is named Business is a Spiritual Practice, because it is the hardest core growth work I have done in my life.
Yeah. There are dogs outside barking a lot. They agree. The dogs agree.
They're like, fuck yes.
The bitches. You've been hurting the bitches.
The bitches are here. I'm empowering the bitches.
They're screaming your name. Oh my God, this is all so good. Thank you so much, Amy, for coming on. I wanted to ask a little fun question for the end, which is, what's your favorite thing that you've spent money on lately in your business, and just for, like, straight up pleasure? Now that you're making
so everyone's like, you have like $50,000. I'm like, do you guys have any fucking idea how much money I owe my coach? Like, I mean, she was not cheap, right? So the best thing I've bought for my business was her, number one. So you need, like, a really great, if you're a coach and you don't have a really great coach, then what are you doing? And my second favorite thing in business that I bought was my head bitch mistress.
Ooh.
was hiring my head bitch mistress, right? Somebody that could do the things that I really am not good at. Because after like the 11th hour of trying to get some shit to work in Acuity, I was like, I need to just hire somebody.
Yeah.
And then my favorite thing in my personal life, I was not spending any money on myself forever because I wasn't making any money.
Mhm.
And I needed new clothes so bad. So I bought some new clothes. This top is one of
Ooh,
them.
love
And
it.
it's my like python print top. And I bought some like new skincare products that I was really excited about because I really had been on a pretty tight budget and not spending any money on myself. And so it felt so good to actually buy myself pretty things,
Mhm.
and pretty things. My head bitch mistress is a very pretty thing, right? She's amazing. And my clothes and the skincare stuff, which I'm like, all right, I mean, coconut oil is great, but maybe I could spring for something a little bit more, luxurious. So it's
Yeah.
been fun treating myself to some luxury.
Mhm. That's so fun. Yay. Congratulations.
Thank you. This has been so fun. I'm like literally in love with you. I think you're just like
I'm
the
in love with
best.
you. That's why I reached out. So I'm so glad we had this. We'll have to do a 2.0 with after your successful launch of your group program and get the deets
I
on
am
all of
down.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna crush it at
You're
that.
gonna
Like I'm just
crush
putting
it.
that out into the universe.
Oh
I'm gonna
yeah, no,
crush it.
no question. So where can everyone find you in all of the places?
Okay, so the first place that you can find, which is easy to remember, is on Instagram. I'm witch, WITCH, not the other kind of witch bitch whore. On Instagram, I'm Amy Lorbati on Facebook. If you want to find me, I have my witch bitch whore group. My witch bitch whore website is under reconstruction right now, but that's at witchbitchwhore.com. Everything is witch bitch whore. I like to make it easy so that my last name's hard to say, so witch bitch whore is easier to remember.
So how can people get on the wait list for your group program too?
You know what? Just go to my Instagram page, and it's there in my profile, the link to get on the wait list.
Okay, perfect. You heard it here first, guys. I don't know if you heard it here first, but it's fine.
You
Well,
did
thank you
hear it here
all.
first. I've not talked about this anywhere.
Exclusive.
Exclusive, announcing my program.
Well, awesome. Thank you all for listening, for joining with us and being here and starting to step into the witch bitch horror archetypes within your business and your life. Trying out that Heaux Marketing. I'm all for that.
It's so fun.
Do you have any final words of wisdom, Amy?
I mean, just do the thing that you know that you are here to do and get whatever you need to support you in doing that. For women, stepping out and being visible,
Mm-hmm.
and taking up space and having their voices heard is so important, and it's also terrifying. But just know, if you keep getting a message that you're here to do a thing, you're here to do the thing. So start doing the thing.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thank you so much, Amy.
I love you. Oh, so fun.